Sam was 12 years old, and he lived in a small town called Greenfield. It was the kind of town where everybody knew everybody. The streets were quiet, the trees were tall, and nothing exciting ever happened. Sam hated that. He wanted adventure. He wanted something different. But every day was the same. He woke up, went to school, came home, ate dinner, and went to sleep. Nothing changed. Nothing ever changed. But one evening, something did change. It was a Friday in October. The air was cool and the sky was turning orange and pink as the sun went down. Sam was walking home from school with his best friend, a girl named Lily. Lily was the same age as Sam. She had short brown hair and big round glasses that always sat on the tip of her nose. She was smart, much smarter than Sam, and she never let him forget it. They were walking past the old Miller house on top of the hill. Nobody had lived in that house for more than 20 years. The windows were broken. The roof had holes in it. The garden was full of tall weeds and dead flowers. People in town said the house was dangerous. Some people said it was haunted. Sam's mother always told him to stay away from it. But that evening, Sam saw something. He stopped walking and looked up at the house. There was a light. A small yellow light was moving inside one of the windows on the second floor. It moved slowly from one side to the other, like someone was carrying a candle. "Lily, look," Sam said. He pointed at the window. Lily pushed her glasses up her nose and looked. The light was still there. It moved again. Then it stopped. "That is probably just a reflection," Lily said. "The sun is going down. Light does strange things at this time." "No," Sam said. "That is not the sun. Someone is inside that house." Lily looked at him. She knew that look on his face. It was the look he got when he was about to do something stupid. "Sam, no," she said. "We are not going up there." Sam said, "I did not say we should go up there." But he was still looking at the house. The light had disappeared now. The windows were dark again. That night Sam could not sleep. He lay in his bed and thought about the light. Who was inside the old Miller house, and why? Nobody went there. It was falling apart. It was not safe. But someone had been inside. He was sure of it. The next morning was Saturday. Sam woke up early and called Lily. She did not answer. He called again. She still did not answer. He called a third time. "What do you want, Sam?" Lily's voice was tired and annoyed. "I am going to the Miller house," Sam said. "Are you coming?" There was a long silence on the phone. "You are crazy," Lily said. "Maybe," Sam said, "but I have to know what that light was. Are you coming or not?" Another long silence. "Give me 30 minutes, she said. They met at the bottom of the hill at 9 o'clock. The morning was gray and cloudy. There was a cold wind blowing through the trees. The old Miller house looked even worse in the daylight. The wood was gray and rotten. The front door was hanging open, like a mouth waiting to swallow them. "This is a bad idea," Lily said. "You always say that," Sam said. "And I am always right," Lily said. They walked up the hill together. The path was covered with dead leaves and broken stones. When they reached the front door, Sam stopped. He could smell something strange. It was old and dusty, like a room that had been closed for a very long time. But there was something else, too. Something sweet, like flowers. Sam pushed the door open. It made a loud sound that echoed through the empty house. Inside, it was dark. The light from outside came through the broken windows, but it was not enough. Sam could see a hallway with doors on both sides. At the end of the hallway, there was a staircase going up. The light was on the second floor, Sam whispered. "Why are you whispering?" Lily whispered back. "I don't know," Sam said, still whispering. They walked slowly down the hallway. The floor made sounds under their feet. Every step felt dangerous, like the floor could break at any moment. Sam looked into one of the rooms as they passed. It was empty, except for an old chair covered in dust. A spider web stretched from the chair to the wall. They reached the staircase. Sam looked up. The stairs were dark. He could not see the top. "I will go first," Sam said. "Be my guest," Lily said. Sam put his foot on the first step. It held his weight. He tried the second step. It was fine too. He started climbing. Lily followed close behind him. The stairs turned at the middle, and when they turned, Sam could see the second floor. There was a long hallway with 3 doors. 2 of the doors were open. 1 was closed. Sam walked to the closed door. He put his hand on the handle. It was cold, very cold, colder than it should have been. "Sam, wait," Lily said. She was looking at something on the floor near the door. Sam looked down. There were marks on the dusty floor. Footprints, fresh footprints. Someone had been here recently, very recently. Sam looked at Lily. Lily looked at Sam. They both looked at the closed door. Sam turned the handle and pushed the door open. The room was not empty. In the middle of the room there was a table. On the table there was a box. The box was made of dark wood, and it had strange symbols carved into it. Symbols that Sam had never seen before. They were not letters. They were not numbers. They were something else entirely. Next to the box there was a piece of paper. Sam walked to the table and picked up the paper. There were words written on it in red ink. The handwriting was messy, and it was hard to read. But Sam managed to read it. It said, "Do not open the box. If you open it, you cannot close it again. What comes out will not go back in. You have been warned." Sam looked at the box. He looked at the note. He looked at Lily. Lily shook her head. "Do not even think about it," she said. But Sam was already thinking about it. He was thinking about it very much. He reached out his hand and touched the box. The moment his fingers touched the wood, something happened. The symbols on the box began to glow. A soft, golden light came from inside the carvings. The room felt warmer. The air felt different, heavier somehow, like the room was holding its breath. Sam pulled his hand away. The glowing stopped. "What was that?" Lily said. Her eyes were wide behind her glasses. "I do not know," Sam said. His heart was beating fast. His hands were shaking. But he was not scared. He was excited. For the first time in his life, something was happening. Something real and strange and impossible. He looked at the box again. He wanted to open it. Every part of him wanted to open it. The note said not to. The note said it was dangerous. But Sam had never been good at following rules. He reached for the box again. "Sam, stop!" Lily grabbed his arm. "The note says do not open it. That is a very clear warning. We should leave. We should leave right now." Sam stood there for a moment. His hand was in the air, just above the box. He could feel the warmth coming from it. He could feel something pulling him toward it, like the box was calling to him. Finally, he lowered his hand. "Fine," he said, "but we are coming back, and we are finding out what is inside this box." Lily did not say anything. She just looked at the box with a worried face. She had a bad feeling about this. But she also knew Sam. Once he decided to do something, nothing could stop him. They left the house and walked back down the hill. The wind was blowing harder now. The clouds were darker. Sam looked back at the house one more time. For just a second, he thought he saw a shadow move in the window on the second floor. The same window where he had seen the light. But when he looked again, it was gone. Sam could not stop thinking about the box. All day Saturday, all day Sunday, and all through Monday at school, the box was the only thing on his mind. He saw it when he closed his eyes. He felt the warmth of it on his fingers. He remembered the golden glow of those strange symbols. What was inside? Who had put it there? And who had written that warning note? He tried to talk to Lily about it at school, but she did not want to discuss it. We should forget about it, Lily said during lunch on Monday. She was eating a sandwich and reading a book at the same time, the way she always did. That house is not safe. That box is not normal. We should pretend we never saw it. How can you say that? Sam said. You are the most curious person I know. You read books about everything. You ask questions about everything. And now you want to pretend this didn't happen? Lily put her book down and looked at him. Sam, I am curious about things I can understand. History. Math. That box was different. The way it glowed when you touched it. That is not science. That is something else. And that something else scares me. Sam leaned forward. But does it not also make you excited? Even a little bit? Lily was quiet for a moment. Then she said, very softly, yes, a little bit. But that is exactly why we should stay away. Sam did not stay away. On Tuesday evening, after his mother went to sleep, Sam climbed out of his bedroom window. He had done this before, many times. His room was on the first floor, and there was a big tree right next to his window. He climbed down the tree and walked through the dark streets of Greenfield toward the hill. The town was silent. The streetlights made small circles of orange light on the ground. A cat ran across the road in front of him. Sam's heart was beating hard, but his feet kept moving. He was going back to the Miller house. He was going to open the box. He reached the bottom of the hill and looked up. The house was a dark shape against the night sky. There were no lights in the windows this time. Sam took a deep breath and started walking up the path. The front door was still hanging open. Sam turned on the small flashlight he had brought from home and stepped inside. The house smelled the same as before, old and dusty and strangely sweet. His flashlight made shadows jump on the walls as he walked down the hallway. He climbed the stairs. They made the same sounds as before. When he reached the second floor, he walked straight to the closed door. But the door was not closed anymore. It was open, just a little bit. Sam pushed it the rest of the way and walked in. The box was still on the table, but something was different. The piece of paper with the warning was gone. It was not on the table. It had simply disappeared. Sam walked to the table and stood in front of the box. The symbols were dark now. There was no glow, but when he put his hand close to the box, he could feel the warmth again. It was like the box had its own heat, its own life. He put both hands on the sides of the box. The symbols started to glow again, brighter this time. The golden light filled the room. Sam could feel energy running through his fingers, up his arms, and into his chest. It was not painful. It was like warm water flowing through his body. He found a small latch on the front of the box. He had not noticed it before. His thumb pressed against it. There was a soft click. The box opened. At first, nothing happened. Sam looked inside. The box was empty. There was nothing in it, just darkness. But it was a strange kind of darkness. It was deeper than it should have been. The box was small, maybe the size of a shoebox. But when Sam looked inside, the darkness seemed to go on forever, like looking into a hole that had no bottom. Then something came out. It was not a thing. It was more like a feeling. A wave of cold air rushed out of the box and hit Sam in the face. The golden light from the symbols turned blue, then purple, then white. The room started to shake. The table vibrated. Dust fell from the ceiling. Sam tried to close the box, but the latch would not work. He pushed the lid down, but it would not close. Then he heard a voice. It was not a loud voice. It was a whisper, but it was clear, and it came from everywhere at once, from the walls, from the floor, from the air itself. "Thank you," the voice said. Sam jumped back from the table. His flashlight fell on the floor and rolled away. The room was now lit only by the white light coming from the box. Sam could see his breath in the cold air. "Who is there?" Sam said. His voice was shaking. "I have been waiting," the voice said. waiting for someone to open the box, waiting for a very long time. A shape began to form in front of Sam. It was made of the white light from the box. At first, it was just a cloud, a glowing cloud that floated in the air. Then it started to take a form. It became taller, thinner. It became a figure, a person, but not a real person. It was a figure made entirely of light. Sam could see a face in the light. It was the face of an old man. He had a long nose, deep eyes, and a thin mouth. His expression was tired, like someone who had not slept in years. "Do not be afraid," the figure said. "I will not hurt you." "What are you?" Sam asked. "My name is Thomas Miller," the figure said. "This was my house, a long time ago." Sam's eyes went wide. Thomas Miller, the man who had built this house, the man who had disappeared 20 years ago. Everyone in Greenfield knew the story. Thomas Miller had been a strange man who lived alone. One day, he simply vanished. No one ever found out what happened to him. The police searched for months. They found nothing. Eventually, people stopped looking. "You are Thomas Miller," Sam said, "but you disappeared. Everyone thinks you are dead." The figure smiled. It was a sad smile. "I am not dead," he said, "but I am not alive either. I am somewhere in between. The box did this to me." "The box?" Thomas Miller's figure moved closer to Sam. The light around him flickered like a candle in the wind. "I found the box many years ago. It was buried in the ground under this house. I dug it up and I opened it, the same way you just opened it. And when I did, something came out, something dark and powerful. It took my body from me. It trapped me inside the box. I have been inside that box for 20 years, waiting for someone to set me free." Sam looked at the open box on the table. "But the note said not to open it. The note said what comes out will not go back in." "I wrote that note," Thomas said. "I was trying to warn people, trying to keep them safe, because when I opened the box the first time, something else came out too. Something dangerous. I trapped it back inside the box, but I got trapped with it. Now you have opened the box again. I am free, but so is the other thing." "What other thing?" Sam felt cold all over, not from the air, from fear. Thomas Miller's face became very serious. "It is a shadow," he said. "It has no body, it has no face, but it is alive, and it is hungry. It feeds on fear. The more afraid people are, the stronger it becomes. When I opened the box all those years ago, it escaped, and it started to spread through this town. People became angry. People became sad. People became afraid of things they had never been afraid of before. I managed to capture it again and put it back in the box, but it cost me everything. It cost me my body, my life." Sam felt sick. "And now it is out again, because I opened the box?" Thomas nodded slowly. "Yes, it is out, and it will start to spread again, through the town, through the people. It will find the person who is most afraid, and it will start with them." Sam thought about his mother. She was afraid of many things. She was afraid of storms, of the dark, of losing Sam. She was the most afraid person he knew. "How do I stop it?" Sam asked. "How do I put it back?" Thomas Miller looked at him, with his tired, glowing eyes. "That is the difficult part," he said. "To capture the shadow, you need to face it. You need to stand in front of it and feel no fear, none at all. If you can do that, the shadow becomes weak, weak enough to be captured. But if you feel even a tiny bit of fear, the shadow will grow stronger, and it will consume you, the same way it consumed me." Sam stared at the old man's glowing face. No fear. He had to feel no fear. But Sam was already afraid. He was afraid right now, standing in this dark room, talking to a ghost made of light. "I cannot do that," Sam said quietly. "I am afraid of everything." Thomas Miller's figure started to fade. The light from the box was getting weaker. "You open the box," Thomas said. His voice was getting softer. "Only you can close it. Find the shadow before it is too late, and find someone brave to help you." The light went out. Thomas Miller was gone. The room was completely dark. Sam stood there alone in the silence. Then he heard something. A sound from downstairs. A soft sliding sound. Like something moving across the floor. Sam grabbed his flashlight and ran. He ran down the stairs, through the hallway, and out the front door. He did not stop running until he reached the bottom of the hill. When he looked back at the house, he saw something that made his blood turn cold. Every window in the old Miller house was now completely black. Not dark, black. As if the darkness inside was alive and pressing against the glass, trying to get out. Sam turned and ran all the way home. Sam did not sleep that night. He lay in his bed with the blanket pulled up to his chin and stared at the ceiling. Every sound made him jump. The wind outside, a branch tapping against the window, the old house settling and making its small noises in the dark. He kept thinking about what Thomas Miller had told him. The shadow was out. It was somewhere in Greenfield right now, moving through the streets, looking for fear to feed on. When morning came, Sam felt tired and heavy. He got dressed and went to the kitchen. His mother was there, making breakfast. She looked normal. She smiled at him and asked if he wanted eggs or cereal. Sam chose cereal because he did not think he could eat anything heavy. His stomach was in knots. "Are you feeling okay?" his mother asked. She put her hand on his forehead. "You look pale." "I'm fine," Sam said. "I just did not sleep well." He went to school and found Lily at her locker. She took one look at him, and her face changed. "What did you do?" she asked. Sam pulled her into an empty classroom and told her everything. He told her about going back to the house, about opening the box, about Thomas Miller and the shadow. Lily listened without interrupting. When he finished, she took off her glasses and cleaned them on her shirt. She always did this when she was thinking hard. "So you opened the box," she said, "after the note told you not to?" "Yes. And now they're on fear." "Yes. And the only way to stop it is to stand in front of it and feel absolutely no fear." "Yes." Lily put her glasses back on. "Sam, you are the most afraid person I know. You are afraid of spiders. You are afraid of the dark. You screamed during the school fire drill last month." "I know," Sam said. "That is why I need your help." "I am afraid of things too," Lily said. "I am afraid of failing tests. I am afraid of deep water. I am afraid of dogs since that one bit me when I was 6. "But you are braver than me," Sam said. "You always have been. Remember when we were 7 and those older kids tried to take my bike? You stood right in front of them and told them to go away. You were not afraid at all." Lily was quiet for a moment. "I was afraid," she said. "I was very afraid, but I did it anyway." Sam looked at her. "Then that is what we have to do. Be afraid and do it anyway." Lily sighed. It was the kind of sigh that meant she knew she was going to agree, even though she didn't want to. "Fine," she said, "but first we need to know more. We need to find out everything we can about Thomas Miller and that box. We need information." After school, they went to the Greenfield Public Library. It was a small building with old books and older computers. Chen, the librarian, was a tiny woman with white hair who had worked there for as long as anyone could remember. She knew every book in the building. "We are doing a school project about the history of Greenfield," Lily told Mrs. Chen. "Can you help us find information about the Miller family?" Mrs. Chen looked at them over her reading glasses. "The Millers? That is an interesting choice. Come with me." She led them to the back of the library where the local history books were kept. She pulled out a thick, dusty book called Families of Greenfield, a History, and opened it to a section about the Millers. Sam and Lily read together. The Miller family had lived in Greenfield for over 100 years. They were one of the oldest families in town. The book said that Thomas Miller's grandfather, a man named Edward Miller, had traveled the world collecting strange and unusual objects. He had gone to places in Africa, Asia, and South America, and he had brought back things that nobody in Greenfield had ever seen before. Some people said Edward Miller was a scientist. Others said he was something else. Something stranger. The book did not say anything about a box, but it mentioned that Edward Miller had built the house on the hill, and that he had put a special room in the basement, a room with a locked door that he never let anyone enter. The basement, Sam said. We never checked the basement. We are not going back to that house, Lily said. We have to, Sam said. Thomas said the box was buried under the house. Maybe the basement has more information. Maybe there is something down there that can help us. Lily was about to argue, but then something happened that changed everything. They heard a scream. It came from outside the library. Sam and Lily ran to the window and looked out. Patterson, who owned the flower shop across the street, was standing on the sidewalk, screaming. She was pointing at something in the alley between her shop and the bakery next door. Sam and Lily ran outside. Other people were coming too. Mr. Garcia from the hardware store, a couple of teenagers from the high school. They all gathered around Mrs. Patterson, who was still pointing and shaking. What is it? What happened? Mr. Garcia asked. In the alley, Mrs. Patterson said. Her voice was high and thin. There is something in the alley, a shadow, but it moved. Shadows do not move like that. It moved like it was alive. Mr. Garcia walked to the alley and looked inside. There is nothing here, he said. It is just a normal alley. But Mrs. Patterson would not stop shaking. I saw it, she said. It looked at me. It does not have eyes, but it looked at me. And when it looked at me, I felt so afraid, more afraid than I have ever been in my life. I could not move. I could not breathe. I just stood there and screamed. Sam and Lily looked at each other. They both knew what Mrs. Patterson had seen. The shadow. It was already here. It was already in the town. Over the next 2 days, things got worse. Much worse. More people started seeing the shadow. Mr. Kim at the grocery store said he saw a dark shape moving across the wall of his stockroom. When he looked directly at it, it disappeared. But for the rest of the day, he felt afraid. He could not explain it. He was just afraid. Afraid of everything. 3 students at Sam's school said they saw something dark crawling under the bleachers in the gymnasium. After that, none of them wanted to go to school anymore. They stayed home, locked in their rooms, too scared to come out. Sam's neighbor, old Mr. Henderson, called the police because he said someone was standing outside his window at night. But when the police came, they found nothing. No evidence. Mr. Henderson did not sleep for 3 days after that. Sam could see the light on in his house at all hours of the night. The whole town was changing. People were not friendly anymore. They walked faster. They kept their heads down. They locked their doors during the day, which nobody in Greenfield had ever done before. Children stopped playing in the park. Dogs barked at nothing. The air itself felt heavier, like a storm was coming that would never arrive. And Sam could feel it too. Every night, his fear grew stronger. He was afraid to turn off the lights. He was afraid to look out the window. He was afraid of the dark corners of his own room. He knew the shadow was feeding. Every scared person in Greenfield was making it stronger. On Thursday night, Sam was sitting in his room when he heard a tap on his window. He nearly jumped out of his skin, but then he saw it was Lily. She was standing outside, looking worried. Sam opened the window. What are you doing here? Lily climbed inside. Her face was pale, and her hands were shaking. I saw it, she said. The shadow. It was in my house, in my bedroom. It came out from under my bed like a dark cloud, and it spread across the floor. And Sam, when it was close to me, I could hear it. It was whispering. It was whispering all my worst fears, every bad thing I have ever worried about. It said them to me, one by one, like it knew everything about me. Sam felt his stomach drop. "Are you okay?" "No," Lily said. "I am not okay. None of us are okay. This thing is getting stronger every day. We have to do something, Sam. We have to go back to that house. We have to find a way to stop it." Sam nodded. He was terrified. He could feel the fear in every bone of his body. But Lily was right. They had started this. They had to finish it. "Tomorrow," Sam said. "We go back tomorrow, and we check the basement." They sat together in Sam's room for a long time, neither of them speaking. Outside, the wind howled through the streets of Greenfield. And somewhere in the darkness, the shadow moved, sliding from house to house, street to street, feeding on the fear of an entire town, growing bigger, growing stronger, getting ready for something that neither Sam nor Lily could imagine. And in the old Miller house on the hill, the open box sat on the table, glowing faintly in the dark, waiting. Friday came with dark clouds and cold rain. The sky looked bruised, gray and purple and angry. Sam woke up feeling like he had not slept at all, even though he had. His dreams had been full of dark shapes and whispering voices. He got dressed quickly, ate a piece of toast without tasting it, and told his mother he was going to Lily's house to study. His mother looked at him with worried eyes. She had been looking at everyone with worried eyes lately. The whole town had changed in just a few days. People were not themselves. Sam's mother had stopped going to the grocery store because she said the streets did not feel safe anymore. She couldn't explain why. She just felt it. Everyone felt it. Sam met Lily at the bottom of the hill at 10 o'clock. The rain had slowed to a light drizzle. Lily was wearing a yellow raincoat and carrying a backpack. She always came prepared. "What is in the bag?" Sam asked. "Flashlights, extra batteries, a notebook and pen, water bottles, and a hammer in case we need to break a lock," Lily said. "You brought a hammer?" "My father's. He will not notice it is gone." They walked up the hill. The path was muddy and slippery from the rain. Sam's shoes got dirty quickly, but he did not care. When they reached the house, they stopped at the front door. The house looked worse than before. Sam was sure of it. The wood seemed darker, like it was rotting faster than before. The broken windows looked like empty eye sockets, and there was a smell. Not the dusty, sweet smell from before. This was different. It was cold and sharp, like the air before a lightning strike. "The shadow has been here," Lily said quietly. "I can feel it." Sam could feel it too, a heaviness in his chest, a tightness in his throat, fear pressing down on him from every direction. But he stepped inside anyway. They did not go upstairs this time. Instead, they looked for a way to the basement. They searched the hallway and checked every room on the first floor. Most rooms were empty. One had old furniture covered with white sheets that had turned gray with dust. Another had bookshelves filled with books that were falling apart, their pages yellow and soft. Lily found the basement door in the kitchen. It was behind a large wooden cabinet that had been pushed against the wall. The cabinet was heavy, but together they managed to move it enough to reach the door behind it. The door was made of thick, dark wood. It had a metal handle and a lock. A very old, very strong lock. Someone did not want people going down there, Sam said. Lily pulled the hammer from her backpack. She hit the lock 3 times. On the third hit, it broke. The door swung open, and a rush of cold air came from below. It was so cold that Sam could see his breath. The air smelled like earth and stone and something else, something metallic, like old pennies. Stone steps led down into the darkness. Sam turned on his flashlight and started going down. The steps were narrow and steep. The walls were made of rough stone, not wood, like the rest of the house. This basement had been built differently, built to last. At the bottom of the steps, they found a room. It was large, much larger than Sam had expected. The ceiling was low, and the floor was made of stone. Along the walls, there were shelves filled with objects, strange objects. There were glass jars filled with colored liquids. There were small wooden figures carved to look like animals Sam had never seen before. There were stones with symbols on them, the same kind of symbols that were on the box. There were books, very old books, bound in leather so dark it was almost black. The things he brought back from his travels. In the center of the room, there was a large stone table. Not like a regular table, it was more like an altar. A flat piece of stone resting on two stone pillars. On top of the stone table, there was a circle drawn in white chalk. Inside the circle, there were more symbols, and in the very center of the circle, there was an empty space. A space exactly the size and shape of the box. This is where the box was kept, Sam said, before Thomas dug it up. Lily was already looking at the books on the shelves. She picked one up carefully. It was so old that the pages cracked when she opened it, but the writing inside was clear. It was in English, written in careful handwriting. "This is Edward Miller's journal," Lily said. She started reading. The journal told the story of Edward Miller's last journey. He had traveled to a remote village in a country that the journal did not name. The people of this village told him about an ancient darkness that lived beneath the earth. They said this darkness had been there since the beginning of the world. It was not a creature. It was more like a force that fed on the worst feelings of humans: fear, anger, sadness, despair. The villagers had trapped this darkness in a wooden box using a special ritual. The box was sealed with symbols that kept the darkness inside. As long as the box stayed closed, the darkness could not escape. But if the box was ever opened, the darkness would come out and spread like a disease, infecting everything it touched. Edward Miller, being a foolish and curious man, had bought the box from the villagers and brought it home to Greenfield. He had built the basement room specifically to keep the box safe. He had drawn the circle on the stone table as an extra layer of protection. And he had written one rule in big letters on the last page of his journal. The rule said, "Never open the box. Never. Under any circumstances. The darkness inside cannot be destroyed. It can only be contained. The circle holds it. The symbols bind it. But if the box is opened, only a person with no fear in their heart can put the darkness back." Sam sat down on the cold stone floor. 3 generations of Millers had kept this box safe. Edward had built a special room for it. His son had guarded it. And Thomas, Edward's grandson, had made the terrible mistake of opening it. Now Sam had made the same mistake. "There is more," Lily said. She had found another book, a smaller one, hidden behind the larger books on the shelf. It was a handbook, a guide. This explains how to capture the shadow, how to put it back in the box. Sam jumped up. "What does it say?" The handbook explained that the shadow could be captured, but the process was dangerous. First, the box had to be placed back inside the circle on the stone table. The circle would act like a trap. If the shadow entered the circle, the symbols would weaken it. But someone had to bring the shadow to the circle. Someone had to stand inside the circle and call the shadow to them. "Call it?" Sam said. "How do you call a shadow?" "By being afraid," Lily read. "The shadow is attracted to fear. If a person stands in the circle and feels fear, the shadow will come. It will enter the circle to feed. But once it is inside the circle, the symbols will hold it. Then, the person must close the box while the shadow is weak. The box will pull the shadow back inside, and the circle will seal it." "But Thomas said, I have to feel no fear," Sam said. "He said if I feel even a tiny bit of fear, the shadow will consume me." Lily kept reading. She looked up at Sam with wide eyes. "Thomas was partly wrong," she said. "Listen to this. The handbook says that 2 people are needed. One person stands inside the circle and uses their fear to attract the shadow. That person is the bait. They will feel the full force of the shadow's power. They will feel more fear than they have ever felt in their life. The second person stands outside the circle. When the shadow is trapped and weakened by the symbols, the second person must close the box. But the second person must not feel any fear while doing this. If the second person feels fear, the shadow will break free from the circle and consume them both. Sam and Lily stared at each other in the dim light of the basement. "So one of us has to be the bait," Sam said, "and the other has to close the box without feeling any fear at all." "Yes," Lily said. "I will be the bait," Sam said immediately. "This is my fault. I opened the box. I should be the one who is afraid." Lily shook her head. "No, I should be the bait. I am better at handling fear. You get too panicked. You freeze. If you are the bait, you might pass out before the shadow is even in the circle." "Then who closes the box?" Sam asked. "You just said the person who closes it cannot feel any fear. How is that even possible?" Lily closed the handbook and held it tight. "I do not know," she said, "but we have to figure it out, because the shadow is getting stronger every hour. If we wait too long, it will be too powerful. Even the circle will not hold it." They took the handbook and Edward Miller's journal and left the basement. As they climbed the stairs back to the first floor, Sam heard something, a sound from above. From the second floor, it was the same sliding sound he had heard the last time he was here, like something dragging itself across the floor. He grabbed Lily's arm, and they ran. They ran through the kitchen, down the hallway, and out the front door. The rain had started again, heavy and cold. They ran down the hill without stopping, their feet slipping on the muddy path. At the bottom of the hill, Sam looked back. The house was barely visible through the rain, but he could see the second-floor windows. All of them were black, that deep, living blackness that was not just darkness, but something worse. And then he saw it, the shadow. It was not inside the house anymore. It was outside. A dark shape, darker than the rain, darker than the clouds, was spreading across the front of the house like a stain. It covered the walls, the roof, the windows, and it was growing, reaching out with dark fingers toward the hill, toward the town, toward them. "We need to do this tonight," Sam said. "We cannot wait any longer." Lily nodded. The rain was running down her glasses, but her eyes behind them were steady and determined. "Tonight," she said. "We end this tonight." The rain stopped at 8 o'clock that evening, but the sky stayed dark. There were no stars. There was no moon. The clouds hung low and heavy over Greenfield, like a thick, gray blanket. The streetlights flickered on and off. Some of them had stopped working completely, leaving long stretches of road in total darkness. Sam sat on his bed and waited for midnight. That was the time he and Lily had agreed on. His mother had gone to bed early, complaining of a headache. She had been getting headaches every day this week. Sam knew it was the shadow. It was affecting everyone. The whole town was sick with fear, and the shadow was feeding on it like a parasite. At 11:30, Sam put on his jacket and filled his pockets with the things he would need: a flashlight, extra batteries, and the handbook from Edward Miller's basement. He had read it 5 more times since that afternoon. He knew exactly what they had to do. The question was whether they could actually do it. He climbed out his window and met Lily at their usual spot at the bottom of the hill. She was already there, standing in the dark, with her yellow raincoat and her backpack. She was holding the box. They had taken it from the second-floor room earlier that day and hidden it near the base of the hill. Now Lily held it carefully in both hands, like it was a bomb that could go off at any moment. "Are you ready?" Sam asked. "No," Lily said, "but let us go anyway." They climbed the hill for what felt like the 100th time, but tonight, everything was different. The air was thick and cold. Every step felt heavy, like they were walking through water, and the fear was everywhere. Sam could feel it pressing against his skin, seeping into his bones. It was the shadow's presence. It was close, very close. When they reached the house, Sam stopped. The front of the house was covered in darkness. Not regular darkness. This darkness moved. It crawled across the walls like a living thing. It pulsed and shifted, and reached out with long, thin fingers of pure black. The house looked like it was alive, breathing in and out with the shadow's rhythm. "It is all over the house," Lily whispered. "We have to go through it," Sam said. "The basement, the circle, that is where we need to be." Lily took a deep breath. Then she walked forward. Sam followed. When they stepped through the front door, the darkness wrapped around them like cold water. Sam gasped. He could not see anything. His flashlight barely made a dent in the blackness. He could feel the shadow touching him, running over his skin like cold fingers. And with its touch came fear. Raw, pure, overwhelming fear. Sam saw things in the darkness. He saw his mother lying in a hospital bed. He saw himself alone, completely alone, with no friends and no family. He saw the earth opening up beneath his feet and swallowing him whole. These were not real. He knew they were not real, but they felt real. They felt more real than anything he had ever experienced. "Keep moving," Lily shouted. Her voice cut through the darkness like a knife. Sam grabbed her hand and they pushed forward together. Through the hallway, into the kitchen, to the basement door. They stumbled down the stone steps into the basement. The darkness followed them, pouring down the stairs like black water. But when they reached the bottom, Sam saw something that gave him hope. The circle on the stone table was glowing. The white chalk symbols were shining with a faint, steady light. The shadow could not cover them. It moved around the circle, avoiding it, like a dog circling a fire it could not get close to. "It is working," Sam said. "The circle is still strong." Lily moved quickly. She placed the box in the center of the circle, exactly where it belonged. The moment the box touched the stone, the symbols on the circle glowed brighter. The symbols on the box started glowing too. The golden light pushed back the darkness around the table, creating a small island of light in the middle of the black room. "Okay," Lily said. She took off her backpack and set it on the floor. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. "I am going to stand in the circle. I am the bait. When the shadow comes to me, you close the box." "Lily, wait," Sam said. He grabbed her arm. "Let me be the bait. Please. This was my mistake. I should be the one who pays for it." Lily looked at him. In the golden light of the circle, her face was calm, almost peaceful. "Sam, you are my best friend. You have been my best friend since we were 5 years old. I know you better than anyone, and I know that you are braver than you think. But right now, we need to be smart, not brave. I can handle fear better than you. I can feel it without letting it break me. That is why I should be the bait. And you," she poked him in the chest, "you need to close that box. You need to be the one with no fear, even for just a moment." "How am I supposed to feel no fear?" Sam said. His eyes were burning. "I am afraid of everything. I have always been afraid of everything." Lily smiled. It was a real smile, warm and bright in the middle of all that darkness. "Do you remember what you said to me? Be afraid and do it anyway. That is not what the handbook says. The handbook says feel no fear. But I think they mean the same thing. When the moment comes, do not think about the fear. Think about something else. Think about something good, something real, something stronger than fear." Sam did not know if he could do that, but he nodded. The moment her feet touched the stone inside the white chalk line, everything changed. The shadow reacted. It rushed toward the circle from every direction, a wave of pure darkness crashing against the light. Lily stood in the center next to the box, and Sam could see the fear hit her. Her body went stiff. Her eyes went wide. Her mouth opened in a silent scream. "Lily!" Sam shouted. "I am okay." Lily's voice was tight and thin. "It is showing me things, bad things, but they are not real. I know they are not real. Sam, get ready. It is coming closer. It is coming into the circle." Sam could see it. The shadow was pressing against the edge of the circle, testing it. The symbols flashed and sparked where the shadow touched them. Then, slowly, the shadow began to pour over the line. It was entering the circle. It was coming for Lily. The darkness inside the circle grew thicker. Sam could barely see Lily anymore. She was just a shape in the black, standing with her fists clenched at her sides. The shadow wrapped around her like a blanket. Sam could hear it whispering. Thousands of voices, all whispering at once, filling the room with the sound of every fear ever felt by every person in Greenfield. But then the symbols did their work. The golden light on the box blazed bright, and the shadow writhed. It was caught. The circle was holding it. The shadow was weakened, pulling and twisting like an animal in a trap, but it could not escape. The symbols burned against it, and it screamed. Not a sound that came from a mouth. A sound that came from everywhere, a vibration in the air and the stone and the bones of the earth itself. "Now, Sam!" Lily screamed. "Close the box, now!" Sam ran to the circle. His hands were shaking. His whole body was shaking. The shadow turned its attention to him. He felt it looking at him, even though it had no eyes. And the fear came. It came like a flood. He saw himself failing. He saw himself too weak, too scared, too small. He saw the box refusing to close. He saw the shadow consuming Lily. He saw everything going wrong. His hands froze over the box. He could not move. The fear had paralyzed him. "Sam!" Lily's voice was getting weaker. The shadow was draining her. "Think about something good. Think about something real." Something good, something real. Sam closed his eyes, and he thought about Lily. He thought about the day they met when they were 5 years old. She had been sitting alone on the swings at the playground, reading a book that was too big for her small hands. Sam had walked up to her and said, "Do you want to be friends?" And she had looked up at him with those big eyes behind those big glasses and said, "Okay." He thought about all the years after that, walking to school together, building blanket forts in his living room, him making her laugh when she was sad, all those thousands of small moments that added up to something bigger than fear, something bigger than darkness. Sam opened his eyes. His hands were not shaking anymore. He reached down and grabbed the lid of the box. The shadows screamed again, louder this time. It surged toward him, trying to break free from the circle. But Sam did not feel it. He did not feel the fear. He felt something else, something warm and solid and unbreakable. He felt brave. Not the kind of brave that means you are not afraid. The kind of brave that means you have something worth being brave for. He slammed the lid shut. The latch clicked. The shadow exploded. Not outward, inward. It collapsed into itself like a star dying, all that darkness rushing toward the box, pulled in by a force that was older than time. The shadow screamed, and fought and clawed at the air. The symbols on the box blazed with golden fire, and the darkness poured into the tiny wooden container like water down a drain. In 3 seconds, it was over. The basement was silent. The darkness was gone. The cold was gone. The air felt warm and clean, like a summer morning after rain. The only light was the soft golden glow of the symbols on the box, and even that was fading, growing dimmer as the box sealed itself shut. Sam looked at Lily. She was sitting on the stone table, breathing hard. Her glasses were crooked. Her hair was messy, but she was smiling. "You did it," she said. "We did it," Sam said. They sat together in the quiet basement for a long time. Sam could feel the change already. The heaviness in the air was gone. The fear that had been pressing down on the whole town was lifting, like a fog burning away in the sun. When they finally left the house, the sky had cleared. Stars covered the sky from one end to the other, bright and clean and beautiful. The moon was out, full and white, pouring silver light over the town of Greenfield. The old Miller house looked like just an old house again, sad and broken, but not frightening. Sam placed the box back on the stone table inside the circle before they left. Lily wrote a new warning note and placed it next to the box. This time, she wrote it clearly, in big letters that nobody could miss. And underneath the warning, she added one more line. "We are not joking. We opened it. We barely survived. Leave it alone." They walked down the hill together, side by side. The town was sleeping peacefully for the first time in days. No flickering lights, no barking dogs, no shadows moving where shadows should not be. At the bottom of the hill, Sam stopped and looked back at the house one more time. It was just a dark shape against the starry sky. Nothing more. "Do you think anyone will ever open it again?" Sam asked. Lily thought about it. "Probably," she said. "People are curious. That is what makes us human." "That is what got us into this mess," Sam said. "Yes," Lily said, "but it is also what got us out." They walked home through the quiet streets of Greenfield. The air was cool and fresh. Somewhere nearby, a bird sang a few notes, confused by the moonlight, thinking it was morning. Sam smiled. For the first time in a week, he was not afraid. Not of the dark. Not of the house. Not of anything. He knew the fear would come back. It always did. But now he knew something else too. He knew that fear was not the strongest thing in the world. There were things stronger. Friendship, love, the simple, stubborn decision to keep going, even when everything inside you says to stop. Sam walked Lily to her house and said goodnight. Then he walked home, climbed the tree outside his window, and went to bed. He slept deeply and peacefully, without dreams, for the first time in what felt like forever. And on the hill above Greenfield, inside a circle of glowing symbols, a small wooden box sat silent and still and sealed, waiting, always waiting, but for now the darkness stayed where it belonged, inside the box, where it could not hurt anyone.